In an instant, terror took hold as she lost her footing, sliding helplessly toward the abyss. In this video, we've gathered the most tragic accidents at Half Dome, each more unsettling than the last. Viewer discretion is advised. On Thursday, July 25, 2024, Grace Roloff, a 20-year-old college student, embarked on what she thought would be a life-changing adventure. Alongside her father, Jonathan, she set out to conquer Yosemite's iconic Half Dome, a challenging hike known for its breathtaking views and treacherous ascent. The day began under clear skies, with the pair sharing in the exhilaration of the climb. However, as they reached the summit, the weather took a sudden, ominous turn. Dark clouds appeared seemingly out of nowhere, quickly rolling in and casting a shadow over the peak. The once picturesque scene became a race against time as they realized they needed to descend immediately. As they began their descent, the rain started to pour, transforming the granite surface into a slick and treacherous path. The cables meant to guide and support hikers had become perilous, slick with water, and difficult to hold. Every step was a gamble on the slippery surface, and Grace knew it. She moved cautiously, but the barren, smooth rock beneath her feet offered nothing to grab hold of. No handholds, no ledges, just an unforgiving expanse. Then, it happened. Grace's foot suddenly slipped on the wet granite. Her balance was lost in an instant. Her hands frantically reached out for the cables, her fingers sliding along the wet metal, but there was nothing to stop her descent. The world tilted as she began to slide uncontrollably down the granite slope, her desperate attempts to stop futile against the sheer force of gravity. The empty surface below offered no refuge, no chance for survival. Jonathan, just a few feet behind, watched in horror as his daughter slipped beyond his reach, her body hurtling towards the edge. The rain, combined with a steep incline, made a rescue attempt impossible. Within seconds, Grace disappeared over the edge, plunging over 500 feet to the rocks below. Rescue workers arrived hours later, battling the harsh weather conditions to reach her, but by the time they did, it was too late. Grace had succumbed to the severe head injuries she sustained in the fall. The storm, which had arrived so suddenly, had claimed another life on Half Dome, leaving her father to grapple with an unimaginable loss. But as treacherous as the ground beneath your feet can be, sometimes the real danger comes when you dare to soar above it. Imagine soaring through the air at speeds reaching 120 miles per hour, your body just inches from the jagged rocks below. The thrill is unimaginable, the adrenaline surging through your veins as the world blurs around you. This was the life of Dean Potter, a man who lived on the edge, literally and figuratively. On May 16, 2015, Potter decided to take on one of his most ambitious challenges yet, a wingsuit flight from Taft Point in Yosemite National Park. This wasn't just any jump. It was supposed to be a breathtaking display of human ingenuity and courage. Potter had performed similar feats before, navigating through narrow gaps in the cliffs with precision and grace. But this time, the stakes were higher, the margin for error slimmer. Accompanied by his close friend and fellow wingsuit flyer Graham Hunt, Potter meticulously prepared for the jump. At 3,000 feet above the Yosemite Valley floor, the promontory offered a stunning yet terrifying launch point. The plan was to soar through a narrow notch in the granite cliffs, a maneuver that required flawless execution. With a final nod to each other, they leapt from the cliff, their wingsuits catching the air as they sped downward, carving through the sky with a grace that seemed almost otherworldly. Everything appeared to be going according to plan. They were flying in perfect formation, the wind rushing past them as they approached the critical notch in the ridge. But in a split second, the dream turned into a nightmare. Hunt, slightly behind Peter, misjudged his trajectory and struck the sidewall of the ridge. The impact was devastating, sending him tumbling out of control. Potter, despite clearing the notch, was thrown into chaos by the sudden disruption. His wingsuit, designed for precision and speed, became a trap as he struggled to regain control. Neither man had time to deploy their parachutes before they plummeted to the rocks below. The spotter who had accompanied them watched in horror as they disappeared from sight, hearing only the ominous pop-pop sound from below, a sound she hoped was the deployment of their parachutes. But when rescue teams arrived the following morning, the grim reality set in. Both men had died on impact, their bodies found by helicopters in the early hours of the day. The exact cause of the accident remains unclear. Was it a momentary lapse in judgment, a gust of wind, or simply bad luck? Not all who venture to Half Dome meet such tragic ends. Sometimes the danger is hidden in the pursuit of a perfect moment. On October 25, 2018, a young couple, Vishnu Vishwanath and Meenakshi Murthy, were drawn by the stunning views from Taft Point, a popular but dangerous overlook in Yosemite National Park. The spot, offering an unobstructed view of the Yosemite Valley floor more than 3,000 feet below, had become famous among tourists and photographers seeking the perfect shot. However, Taft Point is not without its risks. The breathtaking overlook lacks safety railings, leaving those who venture too close to the edge vulnerable to the sheer drop below. Vishnu and Meenakshi, seemingly captivated by the scenery and eager to capture the moment, ventured to the very brink of the precipice. As they set up their tripod for a photo, disaster struck. Meenakshi, adjusting her position for the perfect shot, suddenly lost her balance. Her arms flailed wildly as she desperately tried to regain control, her feet shuffling on the loose gravel, searching for stability. For a brief second, it seemed she might recover. But then she stumbled. Vishnu, realizing what was happening, reached out to help, but the sudden movement caused both of them to lose their footing. In an instant, they were falling, plummeting over 3,000 feet to their deaths. The horrifying scene unfolded in front of other tourists who could only watch in shock and disbelief as the couple disappeared into the abyss below. What had begun as a simple photo op had turned into a deadly plunge, leaving onlookers traumatized by the suddenness of the tragedy. Vishnu and Meenakshi's bodies were recovered from the rocky area beneath the lookout the following day. Social media has driven many to take greater risks for that one iconic shot. But, as this incident shows, the consequences can be fatal. But sometimes, even when every precaution is taken, the inherent dangers of Half Dome can still prove deadly. On September 5, 2019, Danielle Burnett, at 29 years old, had prepared meticulously for her hike up Half Dome, determined to reach the summit of one of Yosemite's most iconic peaks. The final stretch of the climb, the infamous cables, was known to be a daunting challenge, but Danielle was ready. Or so she thought. As she approached the steepest part of the cables, the adrenaline was pumping. The granite beneath her feet was unforgivingly smooth, and the cables were her only lifeline. Each step was calculated, her grip tightening with every inch gained. But as she began the ascent, something went horribly wrong. Danielle's foot suddenly slipped on the slick surface, throwing her off balance. Her hands, desperately gripping the metal cables, began to slip despite her frantic attempts to hold on. She scrambled to regain her footing, her legs searching for solid ground. But it was too late. In a matter of seconds, she was tumbling down the sheer face of the granite, falling over 500 feet to the rocks below. Witnesses could do nothing but watch in helpless horror as Danielle disappeared from view. The finality of the fall was instantaneous. There was no chance for survival. Rescue teams were dispatched quickly, but they arrived only to confirm the worst. While the cables are designed to assist climbers, they can become treacherous if not handled with the utmost care. The smooth granite and the steep incline leave little room for error, and in Danielle's case, one small mistake led to a fatal outcome. But sometimes, amidst the tragedies on Yosemite's granite giants, there are stories of survival that defy the odds. On August 1st, 2022, Anna Parsons, a 20-year-old student from New Zealand, set out to conquer the famous rock faces of Yosemite National Park. Anna, an experienced climber with a deep love for the outdoors, had embarked on the trip of a lifetime with her friend Jack Evans. The pair had meticulously planned their adventure, with Yosemite's towering cliffs as one of the highlights. The day started with a light drizzle, but nothing too serious to deter the seasoned climbers. Confident in her abilities, Anna approached the climb with excitement. However, as she progressed up the rock face, a small mistake led her onto a more challenging section than she had intended. The holds were sparse, and the climb became increasingly difficult. Despite her best efforts, Anna's foot slipped on a piece of rock that didn't hold as expected. In an instant, she lost her footing and plummeted 80 feet down the cliff face. The fall was brutal. Anna's body slammed against the rock, breaking nearly every major bone in her body. Her neck, spine, pelvis, ribs, and feet were all shattered. And her left foot was so severely damaged that it had to be amputated shortly after the accident. Despite the unimaginable pain, Anna remained conscious throughout the ordeal. Rescue teams were quickly dispatched, and Anna was rappelled down the rock face in a metal cage before being airlifted to a hospital. She spent over 6 weeks in American hospitals and rehabilitation facilities before she was stable enough to return home to New Zealand. Today, she is back in her home country, adjusting to life with a prosthetic foot and embracing the slow journey of healing. Anna's story is a rare one, a tale of survival and resilience in a place where many others have not been so fortunate. The tragedies at Half Dome remind us of the unforgiving nature of this majestic peak. Which of these incidents shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like these. Stay safe out there.